The hardwood to the diamond, where the parent club is off to a dazzling start. The last time they started this good, the Cincinnati Redlegs went to the World Series. And, of course, a team that has had no stranger to success, the AAA affiliate right here in Louisville, the Bats looking for 4 in a row when it comes to division championships. Amazing. And great story about them today. It's actually media day today at the ballpark. The folks will be out. The fans can come out and watch the workout as well, I think. Hope I'm not saying that wrong. I think they can. And then they open their season tomorrow. And the skipper of the ball club is our good friend Rick Sweet, who joins us right now on ESPN 680. Rick, welcome. We're ready to go get another championship, dude. How you doing?
So am I, Bobby. How you doing?
I'm well. We're looking forward to seeing this team. And before we talk about your team, Parent Club's off to a rocket-like start, huh? You were part of the training camp in spring training. How much did the success last year permeate the atmosphere down there this year?
Well, there's no doubt. Winning breeds more winning. That's, there's... And actually, I think this started 3 years ago. You look at a lot of those guys up there that were part of the championship last year for the Reds. They've been down here the last 2 or 3 years and been involved in winning. I think you are, you develop winners, and they just continue to have those expectations.
Well, you're right. Winning breeds winning, and you got, we also, as guys who coached, managers no different. Winning comes about because you got good players, and you've got a good player. The article in the Courier today about Dave Sappelt, who was so good in the preseason, but, he said, I knew I was going to Louisville anyway, no matter what I did in the spring. How much of that is true, and how much of where his progress is right on schedule in the organization in your mind?
Well, there was very little chance. He probably needed injuries to make the big league club, and it's not because he's not good enough. Part of all athletics is waiting your turn. There is more he can learn. Now, quite frankly, if he were 7 years ago with the Reds, he would have made that club. They would have let him learn at the major league level. But we don't need that right now. Our expectations are to win right now. There are more things that David can work on, and he will work on them here, and he knows he needs to work on those things. Dusty is very good at telling people what they need to do. He's very honest and very upfront, and I appreciate that. It makes my job a lot easier.
Talking to Rick Sweet, the manager of the Louisville Bats. Tonight, the workout is from 6 to 8. It's open to the public. The concession stands will actually be open, so you can get out and have free admission and watch these guys in action. What are you going to do tonight, Skip? What actually is on the docket for you tonight?
We'll have a basic workout. We'll go out, stretch, throw, which we do every game. I think today we're just going to take batting practice. We were out there for about 2.5, 3 hours yesterday. We went over fundamentals. We had a simulated game. We got all of our pitchers some work and some live practice. Today it'll be just a basic day to get ready for tomorrow. I mean, we've spent the last 7 weeks working out and practicing every day. I mean, we've not had a day off in 7 weeks. So if we don't have it by now, it's a little bit late.
Yeah, that's right. No time like the present, no question. All right, so give the folks a little rundown. Who gets the ball for opening day for you?
Well, our opening pitcher will be Carroll, a young guy from AA. It'll be his first experience here. Matt Klinker will pitch the second day. He was here last year for a while. Chad Renicky actually is going to pitch third, and he's our most experienced pitcher right now, and he's going to be third in the rotation. We've got a really young club, but and this doesn't usually go hand in hand, but an experienced club. We've probably only got 3 or 4 guys in this club that have never been to AAA.
Wow, that is a young club, and I was going to ask you that. You know what it takes to win a championship, having won 3 of them, division championships. Well, as you assess this team compared to those, what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses, do you think?
Well, I would say the number one strength is the combination of youth, which I always like to have, but also experience. They're all experienced. We brought up a lot of guys last year for the last month of the season because we sent all our guys to the big leagues, and they got to experience the championship run down the end. They got to experience the playoffs, and You cannot beat that experience, and yet they're still young, enthusiastic. Probably the two leaders I have on the club, especially the one, Corky Miller, loves being here. He loves being on the field, and he keeps everybody on their toes. So I have that good combination of very young, but I also have a couple of good leaders on the club.
Can you explain to fans, because I go to the website, and I obviously keep very close tabs on your team, talking to Rick Sweet here on ESPN 680. And if you go to the roster, it'll show all the information on the various guys, stuff the fans like to know, how big, how much they weigh, their date of birth, all that. And then it says in the last thing, MLB 40-man roster. What does that mean from a fan standpoint about how these guys are handled if it says, yes, they're on the 40-man roster, or no, they're not? What does that mean, Rick?
Well, the 40-man roster is very important for a player to be on. In order to be part of the 25-man roster at the major league level, in other words, in order to be on the big league club, you first have to be on the 40-man roster. Those are protected players. Nobody in baseball can touch anybody on our 40-man roster. Because once you have 3 years in the minor leagues, you're either put on the 40-man roster or you could be drafted by other clubs. So that 40-man roster is very, very important to us, and because, that's how we protect our players. But it also means a little more money for the players because now they've become part of some benefits that you get from being on the 40-man roster financially.
Okay, well, I'm looking at some of the guys on it and some names that people recognize. Dontrelle Willis, Rick, what's the status with the left-handed pitcher who, of course, many fans remember from his great days in Florida?
Well, he had great days in Florida, and then he's come on some hard times, a little bit physically, but he lost command of his pitches. I mean, basically, it does happen with players. He got to the big leagues so fast, and then all of a sudden he lost it. Well, he didn't have that minor league experience where you learn how to fix yourself to fall back on. And now he's got himself in a position that now he can work on getting his command back and not have all that pressure of the major league news media and fans being on him. And he came to spring training this year and really did a nice job. In fact, came very close to making the major league club. Dusty talked about how early on in camp, Dontrelle had a great chance to make the club. Then he started running into a few control problems. Nothing major, but enough to say, you know what, we need to get this young kid, because he's still young, back on track. We need to allow him to pitch in non-pressure situations. He had a very good spring for us in the minor leagues. He's excited to be here. And, I really I think good things are going to happen for Dontrelle. And maybe get his career back on track. You know what, Rick? I'm glad you said that, because people have seen him pitch for so long. I don't think people realize he's not even 30 years old yet. He when he was pitching in the big leagues and he had that dynamite arm and the explosive ball, and he had that funny motion. Everything that he did came out gold. Well, then he was traded. And all of a sudden he started having tough times. And like I said, being as young as he was, and this was, probably 4 or 5 years ago, he couldn't get on track. And, we gave him an opportunity this year to come to spring training, and he took he was ready for it. He was ready to make some adjustments, which he's done, and stay focused, stay on track. And that's what I hope to do here for him. He's been a great teammate. He is energetic. He always keeps everybody laughing. He's one of those leaders that he does it through his personality and how he competes and how much fun and how much he enjoys life.
Well, you've set the tone for this team. I'm always amazed when I'm around them. I mean, it's always in the entire time you've been here. There's always a great upbeat atmosphere in the clubhouse. That starts with you. You obviously enjoy being here. How'd your house search go, by the way? Did you find a place?
I'm still searching, but I expect to be here now for a while. I'll get some opportunities, and I'll find that right place and that right deal. But I fully intend on staying here in the community and and becoming part of the off season here in Louisville. Every time I come back here, I went to the grocery store today, and stocked up my apartment and get everything ready. And I guess I shouldn't say amazed, but it's such a pleasure to see people always smiling. The lady that was bagging my groceries was upbeat, having a good time. It's just a great place to be. It's a great environment, and I look forward to becoming a full-time resident.
Well, it suits your personality perfectly because you'll fit right in. There's no question about that. Talking to Rick Sweet, the manager of the Bats. Let me ask you about a guy who's got on most people's radar, a tremendously bright future in this organization. There's a number of guys, of course, but I think, Rick, I'm right when I talk about Devin Mesoraco, right, who is a guy who is so highly regarded, came in with such a burst onto the scene last year. How did he do in the spring? What do you look for him this year?
He had an excellent spring. He started out a little bit slow. One thing with Devin is we drafted him out of high school, #1 draft pick, and it was out of Pennsylvania, which he didn't get to play a lot of baseball. As a high school kid, he was way behind a lot of high school kids from California and Florida, Texas, where they can play year-round. And so he was a little bit behind the 8 ball early on in his professional career and probably did not meet expectations of what a #1 draft choice would be. But last year it all clicked for him. He started in A-ball, jumped to AA, came to AAA, and he was fantastic at all 3 levels. Came to spring training this year and kind of reverted back a little bit to some of his old ways. But it didn't take more than, I'd say, 3 or 4 weeks, and all of a sudden he, through watching videotape and working with the catching people, got everything back on track and really finished up spring training well. And, he has Dusty and everybody on the major league level very excited to see how fast he moves along and gets ready for the next step.
Where does most of his development have to come, Rick? At the plate or behind the plate defensively?
Behind the plate. I think he's going to hit. Although he never really hit maybe to expectations, he's going to hit. I think last year, and I've said this before, the higher you go in baseball, sometimes the easier the game becomes. If you're very athletic. Drew Stubbs is another perfect example that I've used that analogy. And Devin fits in that. I think once he came to me last year, it's a heck of a lot easier to play the game when you know what that pitcher out on the mound is going to do. You know how they're going to play you defensively. Nothing worse than being an A-ball and not sure if the pitch is going to be at your ear or low and away on the black. And so the higher you go, the better the players become. And if you have that athletic ability, the easier it is for you, if you're smart enough to learn the game, to go out and use your athletic abilities. So Devin needs work behind the plate, calling games, improving on when he's calling a game, making adjustments from a guy throwing 95 to the next guy coming in that only throws 83. That changes the whole game, and you need to, as far as calling the game, you need to be able to make that adjustment.
How much do you guys call the game from the dugout, and how much of that goes on at the big league level?
Pitches are never called in professional baseball, whether it's from the bench or anywhere else.
Really?
Oh, no, heavens no. We develop our kids. There is nothing better than the analogy I use. The reason the United States won World War II is because we allowed our troops to go out and do battle and make adjustments during the battle. We trained them, prepared them, and then they go out and fight. The Japanese and Germans had to ask for permission to do anything. In baseball, it's the same way. If I try to control a game from the bench, then we're going to be a step behind that other team that's out there and playing the game and involved in the game. As a catcher, you have that communication with your pitcher. You see that hitter move up in the batter's box or maybe move back in the batter's box. When I used to catch, I would see if a hitter came up and changed his bat. A lot of times they'll change the size or weight of their bat to make an adjustment. Well, if I know they've done that, I'll make another adjustment on them. So So in professional ball, we train our catchers to call the game. Now, that's not true in high school and college. That's my biggest difference, is they control the game so much in college, kids never learn the game. They come to us and have no idea about the game of baseball because they've always been told how to do everything, and all of it's been done for them.
Well,
we have to teach them fast.
I was going to say, you're quite the basketball fan, too. I know from your love affair with Gonzaga. You must be watching the NCAA tournament and saying the same thing, that these kids are not allowed to make any decisions, and that's why the play looks so ragged.
Well, at times I think that's true. I mean, there's nothing worse than always having to look over to the bench and, hey, what am I supposed to do? I think free flow of good athletes, when you have a good athlete, you want them to go out there and be athletic. And if you try to control the game on them, they're not going to be nearly as good a player as they could be.
Rick, I am looking forward to watching you guys and hopefully, again, following you into the postseason with another championship. You know, I value our friendship very much and a big fan of yours, so I'm looking forward to another great year. We'll visit with you on a regular basis as much as you'll have us. Thanks, buddy.
All right. See you down at the park.
All right. Rick Sweet with us here. Good guy to be in the community and has done a terrific job with that Louisville Bats team. Tonight, 6 to 8, free admission if you want to get over there. The concession stand will be open. You just heard the manager tell you they're going to do a workout, take some batting practice. You'll get to see some of these guys in action. And opening day, of course, is tomorrow. A reminder, programming note, the Reds are in action as always. Your official home for the Cincinnati Reds right here on ESPN 680. Tomorrow's an afternoon game, so I won't be with you. 12:35 is game time for the special afternoon games, which, especially this time of year, I love. Get out there in the sunshine and have a good time. The Bats have a bunch of those as well. Always a big fan of those. So that we won't be here. But Friday, we're coming to you. Furlong Friday is what we call it. We're going to be at Keeneland for opening day. I'm going to get to throw out the first whip or saddle or something. That'll be entertaining. That should be great fun. Looking forward to that. We're going to be there for every Friday all through the spring meet at Keeneland. Then, of course, when they move to Churchill, we're efforting Jason going to have a program out there from the Churchill Downs as well. So it's not going to be all horse racing. Fear not. We're going to do 3 hours of racing, but we'll certainly have some racing-related guests.
I was like, Jason would have to go out and buy every single piece of literature magazine of horse racing.
He would absolutely do it, too. But, no, we're not going to do that. But it is...